Yeah. Oh yeah, okay, that's good enough.
Good morning, everyone. We're going to go ahead and get started. My name's Chaplain Kurt Sneed. I'm with the Columbia Police Department. It's my honor to be here this morning and to offer a prayer, if I could, for this event and for breakfast. And so if you guys would, please join me in prayer. Father in heaven, thank you so much for events like this. Thank you for your goodness and kindness that you've given to our city. Thank you that we have business partnerships with law enforcement and government agencies that help serve all of our people of our city. Thank you for helping each individual and each business in that endeavor. Father, they're a blessing to all of us. I want to pray especially for Sheriff Lott and Chief Holbrook this morning. I want to pray that you would give them wisdom, that you would give them your grace and the ability to do tough jobs in a tough time. But I also want to pray for the agencies that they represent. Father, thank you for the work that they do in our city and our county. Thank you for just the tireless sacrifice that they offer, and just ask that you would also give them wisdom, that you would protect them and guide them in what they do. Father, I pray for the business community as well in our city. Father, a city cannot be prosperous and serve all of its citizens and work for the good of all of its citizens without a thriving business community. So, Father, would you also bless our business community and bring all of this together, government and the business communities together for the good of our city, for the good of the people of our city. And so, Father, we also thank you for this time. I ask that you would bless us as we enjoy this food and we enjoy this fellowship and this time together. Father, would it be honoring and glorifying to you? And may all that we say and do honor you, and may we enjoy you in it. It's in your holy name that I pray. Amen.
Good morning. Let's try that again. I know it's early. Good morning. I am Karen Jenkins. I am the chair of the Columbia Chamber of Commerce, and it is my honor to welcome you here today. I want to take the privilege of thanking each and every one of you for being a part of the chamber, for supporting the chamber, and being a member of the chamber. We could not do what we do if it wasn't for you. I also want to thank our law enforcement leaders. You guys are very busy, and to take time out of your schedule to come and share with us today what's going on in our community so that we can partner with you is very important. So on behalf of the chamber board, Carl and the entire staff, welcome, and we look forward to hearing from you both. Thank you.
Morning.
Morning.
Afraid I talked too loud for a microphone, so I'm going to back up a little bit. Good morning. My name is David Adams. It's probably never advisable in front of law enforcement ever in that conversation where you say, I pay your salary. But in my previous life as Richland County Treasurer and Tax Collector, I actually did. I never had to pull that card because I never really got in any trouble. But I have always admired these two gentlemen for the care and the professionalism with which they deal with keeping our community safe. And so I'm really happy to be here on behalf of MUSC Health. I'm proud of being a part of their new vision for the Midlands. As we all know, we're about to see that kind of explosive growth that we have always worked toward and believed in and knew that we deserved. We're going to be getting ready to be that place where children can be born and educated and work and retire as prosperously as anywhere else in the country for the first time. And it's because of a lot of people in this room. And we want to be a part of that progress and care and education at MUSC. We're committed to it. And I am just so happy to be here, and I hope to work with you and that you'll call on me if you ever have anything that you need. So on behalf of MUSC today, welcome to the Chamber of Commerce Breakfast. Thank you.
Thank you, David. Appreciate it. Good morning. My name is David Looper, and I am the chair of the Public Policy Committee for the Chamber this year. And so this is my first meeting, first time moderating, so we're going to be easy. Hopefully I won't be in the back of these guys' car on the way out. We'll do a good job. But thank y'all for all being here. Thank you for your support of the chamber. The Public Policy Committee really wants to be the voice of the business community and leverage what you guys want to see in our community happen, leverage the voice of the chamber to make that happen. So guys we got up here really need no introduction. Chief Holbrook and Sheriff Lott have been cornerstones of our community for a long time. And I was thinking about driving over this morning, just what a poignant time to have them this week with the anniversary of 9/11. And want to start off by thanking you guys just for what you and those who serve under you do for our community. It's just, it means everything to the community. So thank y'all. Like I said, you guys really need no introduction, but to kind of get a flavor for who you are and how you got here, can you guys tell us a little bit about what got you into law enforcement? How did 6-year-old Skip and Leon end up as chief of police and sheriff of the county?
I'll start. You talked about the us being cornerstones of the community or whatever. I appreciate that, but I want to just say how much I appreciate the sheriff. That would be a good description for him. I mean, his life of service here in the Midlands is really just something to revel at. And it's been a pleasure for me and a privilege to work with him. We have a really good relationship, and it, I think, is been transformational really for how we approach law enforcement in the community. So Sheriff, always thank you for that partnership and friendship. You know, I don't know that I always had really thought about being a police officer till I got in college, and both of my parents were educators. My dad was a football and baseball coach for 48 years, and I think it was just expected that I would do that. But I got an interest in law enforcement when I was in college, and I graduated college on a Friday and started the police academy in Charlotte on a Monday, and I really haven't looked back since. I've had the privilege of working for several agencies with Charlotte Mecklenburg and then the state police, and then I've been a police chief for 17 years now, but my last 9.5 years here in Columbia have really been special. I've worked for a fantastic city manager. Our council and mayor have been incredibly supportive of law enforcement, and then what we've seen happen in this community, both good and bad, and how the community comes together in times of crisis is remarkable. But what we've seen, I think, as far as growth and just the trajectory that we're on now as a community is really exciting for me, being at the head of a police department as it's going on.
Awesome. Sheriff Lott.
I'm a cop because I got arrested. And that's probably the last thing that y'all wanted to hear or thought you would hear, but I got arrested at 16 years old for egging police cars. And
there's the headline from this morning, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
And the impact that it had on me later on in college. So I look back on how those cops who locked me up that night had changed my perspective about stuff. You know, being a kid throwing eggs at police cars and other cars, you think, well, that's no big deal. And they made me realize I could have killed somebody. And I went, what are you talking about? So I'm from Aiken, so small town, everybody knew everybody. So they said, what if that had been your grandfather who was old at that time and you hit his windshield and ran off the road and got killed? Did you think about something like that? And I hadn't. So Chief Holbrook and I both have kind of a lot of similarities. We both played college baseball. And I think we both thought we'd be major league players at some point, then realized we may have been good, but we wasn't that good. So we had to decide what we're going to do with our life. And I kept going back to how they had put me on the right path. Not that I was a bad kid. It's just doing stupid things and throwing eggs at cars, and thought about how they had, you know, kind of turned me around. And I said, you know what, that's something I want to do too. So kind of like Chief Holbrook, I graduated from USC May of 75 and started at the Sheriff's Department 1st of June of 75 too. So stayed at the Sheriff's Department for quite some time, then became the police chief in St. Matthews, and been very, very fortunate for the past 27 years to be your sheriff. And I enjoy every minute. Somebody asked me earlier, when you're going to retire? And the answer is easy: when it's not fun anymore and I don't feel like I'm effective. And so it's still fun. Have a blast, enjoy every moment. I get up and get to go do this profession, and I could plan to continue to doing that. But kind of feed off what Chief Holbrook said, since he's been here, the relationship that we've developed, I think, has really had a great impact on the Midlands because we do work together. We have so much in common. We both played baseball in college. We both had daughters that were our youngest daughter, same age. They both played sports. So not only are we professional colleagues, but we're personal friends. And I think that transcends to our agencies too. When our people see that we get along, we work together, then that tells them they better do the same thing. So, you know, we work seamlessly. If something happens in the city, we help. In the county, we help. So you have the benefit of a very large agency when you put both of us together, and that helps you out. So it's, you know, City of Columbia made a great choice in picking Chief Holbrook, and I hope he stays here as long as I'm here too. So thank you.
That's great. That's a great partnership.
And I'll have to say this. I have to call out my daughter. Daughter number 2. See, I have 4 daughters. We go by numbers. Daughter number 2's over here. So she's told me that I have to behave and can't tell any, but stories today. So thank you, Laura.
Yeah, who is a recent Leadership Columbia graduate. So big ups right there. To kind of talking in with that partnership, can y'all give us 30,000 foot view, what y'all see as kind of the state of the county, the state of the city in terms of public safety and what y'all are seeing on a day-to-day basis at a high level?
I'll start. I think what we probably say is going to mirror each other. You know, some of our state issues are our local issues now. Once upon a time, I think there was when we talked about gun crime and just crime index, it was very specific to a handful of cities maybe in our state that we know from one tip of the state to the other now. 4 out of 5 homicides involve a gun. We rank 5th as a state per capita in gun murders. We're not immune to that here in Richland County and in the city of Columbia. Our 2 biggest challenges: violent crime, specifically gun crime, and just the issues surrounding unsheltered. It's problematic. It draws us in 2 completely different directions, but both are incredible lifts resource-wise. We're doing remarkable things, leveraging technology to help us prevent and solve violent crime. But I'm sure we'll get into it. There's a lot of layers of that onion that are beyond us sitting here. It's a shared responsibility. That's a great title for this discussion this morning. It is absolutely a shared responsibility, and I'm sure we'll get into what we believe is some of that personal civic responsibility that our citizens have when it comes to being part of the solution on this.
Right, absolutely.
And while we talk about crime, I don't want anybody here to think that it's out of control and that this is a bad place to live or have a business, because it's not. We're a whole lot better than a lot of other places. We're a mid-sized city, so we're going to have the challenges, but what you see from both of us is that we meet those challenges. We think ahead. We don't think just today. We're thinking 5 years in the future. What can we do? And kind of goes back also to me getting arrested. And I went through a diversionary program. I watched a lot of police cars, ran a lot of wind sprints at football practice. So we do so many diversionary programs with our young people. And if you're in this room and you've never made a mistake, raise your hand. Good. I don't want to shoot anybody in the foot. We all make mistakes, but sometimes we penalize our kids so much that we jeopardize their future. So we like to do diversionary programs and get these kids, like I was, turned around going in the right direction. So when we talk about the problem we have with young people with guns, we also need to also recognize the thousands of kids that we never hear about who go to school every day, get an education, do good things, but they don't get publicized. You don't see them on WIS News at night. You don't see them in the paper, but they're there. So there's a lot more good kids than there are bad kids, and ones that are making bad decisions. But our biggest challenge is young people with guns. They don't have the mindset, the conscience to realize that what happens when you do shoot that gun and you shoot somebody, that somebody's going to die, and they don't understand, being held accountable for it. So when someone gets shot, not only do you lose that young person who's shot and probably dead, but that person who did the shooting, you lose them too, because they end up in prison. So that's just a double that you've lost. So young people with guns is a big thing. And then also the catch and release. We catch them, they get released. We see the same people over and over. So it's a very small percentage of people that commit the majority of the crimes, and we're not holding them accountable. Not everybody needs to be held in jail or kept in prison, but that certain group who demonstrates that they are not going to follow the law, that they're going to continue to go out here and victimize people and hurt people, those are the ones that we need to make sure that we hold accountable and keep them locked up. That's the only way for the community to be safe, is for them to be off the street. So young people with guns and catch and release, that's the 2 issues not only impact in the Midlands, but that's statewide and really nationwide. And fortunately, our legislators and all of y'all in here, I think, are fed up with criminals, and you just had your voices heard. So our General Assembly made some progress last session on bond reform and a few other things. We see a little bit of light at the end of that tunnel, and I think we're going to see some more next year too. So that's the two biggest issues that we have.
Yeah, and that's kind of dovetailing off of that and thinking of this forum as shared responsibility, like we talked about. What's the best way for everybody in the room to kind of engage with? I think I've heard kind of anecdotes of, you know, the law enforcement officers that work for y'all will bring somebody in, and by the time they can get the paperwork done, somebody's back out on the street. What can we do as a community to support y'all in that effort?
There's a couple of things. You know, we're all trying to do more with less. We're trying to work smarter, not harder. You know, we talk just every second that we breathe at community meetings about something as simple as locking your cars. We have, you know, we just talked about a gun problem that we have, and we'll, you know, between our agencies, we'll have 3,000 to 4,000 cars broke into a year, and over half of those will be unlocked. And then we'll also have, you know, 500, 600, 700 guns reported stolen a year. That's reported. Probably half of those come from an unlocked car. And then of those other guns we're recovering, the likelihood of them being stolen is very high. They're just not being reported because someone might be embarrassed that they had a gun stolen. But, you know, I've spoken with this portion of this group before, and one of the things that I talk about, that seems very simple. But we know that when businesses and families are looking to relocate to an area, they look at crime and they look at schools and they look at taxes. And, you know, if a citizen just, again, takes ownership of that, takes that responsibility, and will just lock their car, because we don't have a lot of glass break-ins. We have, as the sheriff always refers to them, as let-ins. It's people, if they just lock their car, we would cut our property crime rate in half, 50%. Could you imagine reporting that, or when somebody's Googling your community, seeing if they want to relocate? That's a number that can be affected by just our citizens in general. So I think when we talk about shared responsibility, that's it. Another one I think that touches this group is we respond to 11,000 alarm calls a year. You know how many of those are false? 92%. So the reason they're false is we have you know, poor equipment. It's not being maintained, whether it's a residential. Most of these are business alarms. We have employees that set them off. It's just a faulty alarm. So again, that's a shared responsibility, because especially with a business, with banks and stores, and there, you know, a lot of it comes in as a hold up alarm. We got officers that are running what we call code. They're running emergency traffic. That's putting the officer at jeopardy. It's putting the citizen in jeopardy. And that's a small anecdotal piece of information that I think touches a lot of people here, and you really can make a difference with this personal ownership of that.
Your vehicle is not a holster. Don't leave your gun in it. Think about that. Your vehicle is not a holster. Don't leave your gun in it. But people leave their guns in their vehicles and leave their vehicles unlocked. And that's where these young people get the guns from. That is very preventable. Just like the chief said, one, don't leave your gun in your vehicle, and keep your vehicle locked at all the time. Other shared responsibility is get involved. I see Cassie over here with Serve and Connect. Great organization who goes out in the community, builds relationships. Everybody here can do that. Everybody here has an opportunity to touch a child somewhere, you know, but we don't take advantage of it. We ignore or say, that's not my child. These are our kids. They may not be our biological kids, but they're our kids. And as a community, it's our job to help raise them. You know, the saying is, it takes a village to raise a child. Guess who the village is? Everybody in this room is the village. And so when parents are not there to provide that guidance, that leadership, the education, then we should do that. The churches, the schools, the business community, the chamber, that's what we should be doing too, is that we should be involved in helping a child. It doesn't take but a little bit just to talk to them, and you don't know the impact you have on a young person by just spending a little bit of time with them. That's why kids get involved in gangs, because they're missing two things. They don't have anybody to spend time with them. They don't have anybody to love them. If they don't get it at home, then they're going to get it on the street. And that's what the gangs do. They provide time. They spend time with them. They let them know they love them. Then they get involved in gang and drugs and violence. Well, let's break that cycle. Let us be the outlet that these young people have for somebody to spend time with them and let them know that you love them. That is how the community gets involved.
I can tell Sheriff Lott played baseball. He just grew the fastball for me. So you've been very vocal, putting gangs on notice, telling them you're coming after them. What are you seeing in our community from that gang perspective? Obviously, you talked about young people joining them, but can you elaborate a little bit on what you're seeing? What are the plans to tackle that component of crime?
Yeah, the gangs crossed the line when they shot one of my deputies. You don't do that. I mean, I don't want to see anybody shot, but if they'll go to do a drive-by shooting with a marked police car parked in front of it, just not even think twice about shooting your house up. So yeah, declared war on them, told we were going to blow the doors off of their houses and we're going to lock them up. And we did that for about 10 days and locked up all four that were involved in the shooting at my deputy. And he wasn't the target, it was another family member, but these kids don't care. And the ones that we arrested were 16 and 17 years old. They shot, 3 of them had 3 different guns, shot 22 times in the house. All of them got caught. We arrested all of them. But we sent a message to the gangs that everybody's sick and tired of the drive-by shootings. So what I've seen now is that the gang leaders, the older ones, have contacted me and said, look, can we have a truce? I said, there ain't no truce. The only truce we're going to have is you need to get those young gang members and tell them to stop this craziness, stop the drive-by shooting, stop shooting each other. You do that, then we won't be blowing your doors off your house at 4 o'clock in the morning. And so I've seen a little bit of change, and I think we're going to continue to see change because the older gang members realize that, it's not business as usual anymore. We're not going to have that. So, but the community is tired of it. Y'all are tired of it. You're tired of hearing about it. You're tired of seeing it on the news, but, and they will not ride by a house and just shoot up a house that they don't know. So it's not random like that. However, they don't know how to shoot a gun. So when they shoot, they don't care. That person back there getting their food right now may be the target, but they're going to shoot many bullets between now and then, and y'all may get hit, and they don't think about that. So we have to be all concerned and all be part of that solution. And again, reaching out to these young kids and convincing them the consequences of their actions.
And a lot of that, is tying into violent crime. Chief Holbrook, I know the city created an Office of Violent Crime Prevention recently. Can you tell us a little bit about that, what the focus is? I know it's still in its infancy, but what the results to date you've seen from that have been?
I can. That was the mayor's vision, something he talked about and was advocated for very strongly. That falls under the office of the mayor, just like the title says. My participation thus far was with the city manager and our chief of staff, and we being part of the interview process. But the gentleman that was hired was Trayvon Fordham, and he's a wonderful person. He's really hit the ground running. The mayor's vision thus far, and I think one of the first things out of the starting gate for Trayvon is really creating that strategic plan and the vision for that office. But he's kind of taking inventory of everything that's going on, because it's it's not designed to be a kind of an arm of law enforcement. Really, it's somebody that's going to coordinate and facilitate a lot of the services and programming that's in place, and working with already very effective programs like Kathy's Serve and Connect. And we're kind of a spoke in the wheel that he'll be directing, and we look forward to working with him and sharing some of our programming. He's been very engaged with us thus far with some of our education and prevention efforts. We just did one of our offender call-ins that we've done, over the last 8 years, and what that is, we invite violent offenders and to meet with law enforcement. Sheriff always participates in it. Over the last 8 years, we've had over 190 people participate in this program, and the purpose of it is to prevent them from reoffending. They're in a very, very vulnerable group, and our recidivism rate with that group is about 33%, which is really good. That evidence-based programming really is I think going to be the foundation that he builds on, whether it's responding to neighborhoods that are disproportionately impacted by violent crime, and working with partners and some of our stakeholders and community leadership to be on the prevention and education side on the front end. But I think it's also going to be about breaking down some silos that we have internally and externally. So I'm very excited about what he's going to, how he's going to complement what we're already doing, and I think he'll be an asset to the city.
Awesome. Talking about, the folks that work for y'all, how is recruiting to law enforcement now? How is finding that next generation of law enforcement officers who 15, 20 years down the road are going to be the chief of police and the sheriff? What is I'd imagine that's a challenging job to recruit to. So can y'all tell us a little bit about how that's going?
Well, I really haven't approached it from recruiting the next police chief. I want to be here a little bit. Our recruiting is going really well. One of our areas that has been challenging has been retention. Our officers, we really have 3 paths. They decide this is not what they signed up for. They're close or eligible to retire and choose to move on, and then we have our young officers will really chase a dollar, and that's a frustrating thing for all of us in the Midlands, because we're all fishing from the same pond sometimes, and so it's just that dynamic that affects retention. So it's not about pay is important, and I know our manager is really focused on that, but she's also focused on why people are leaving, and creating opportunities to position ourselves better to retain, whether it's equipment, investing in mental health of our officers and facilities, and we're working on all that. But recruiting I feel like it's going very well. It takes us about 7. For us to get 1 good applicant, we have to review 7 applications. So you can kind of do the math. It's pretty easy to see how many applications we need to receive to know how many people that can just compete for the job. Doesn't mean they'll get hired. And then you start doing the math on people that are eligible to retire, and it's it kind of keeps you up at night a little bit.
Yeah, Sheriff Lott, you seeing the same thing?
The new generation of police officers will be wearing beards and having tattoos all over their bodies. That's been something I've had to adapt to. We both grew up in, I guess, the generation where if you wore a uniform, you didn't have a beard, you didn't have tattoos, but that's the world. So we've had to adapt to the younger generation that looks different than what we do, but they have the same desire that we've all had when we started our career, and we continue to have our careers, that they have it right here. It's about public service and about going out and helping people. So we're not having much of an issue keeping our ranks full, and one thing that's really helped us, and I never realized it was, getting on the TV show Live PD and now on Patrol Live. That has probably been one of the biggest recruiting tools that we've had. And I did not think about that when we got on the show. I did it for transparency and kind of be ahead of the curve, because 5 years from now, probably everything that a police officer does is going to be live streamed. Live PD and On Patrol Live just does that now. So we get applicants from all across the United States that see us on the show and then want to come here to work for our agency. We had a guy that came from Mississippi, and I said, well, why are you coming here? And he said, well, my daddy watches y'all every Friday and Saturday night. So that's the only place I can go to work, so I'm here. So we'll take them.
We'll take them, right?
Yeah. And a lot goes back to the culture that you have in your agency. You're never going to get rich in this job, but you know what Chief Holbrook's done, and I think what both of us have tried to do is build a culture within our agencies of that. You know, we're going to give them the best equipment, we're going to give them the best training, we're going to give them the best support. You know, and hopefully we can supplement some of that with good salary too. But if you provide those things, people will come to work for you, and then they will stay with you. So it's not as bleak as what a lot of people want to make it out to be. We're not like some of the bigger agencies across the United States that 500 and 600 deputies or police officers short. We're not that bad. Nowhere close to that.
That's awesome. Well, in the vein of shared responsibility, are there any questions from the audience that y'all have for these guys while we have them here? Jesse?
The city's recent contract with private safety speak to how y'all put it together.
Yeah, great question. So the city currently uses private security for facility security, fixed post facilities, and we stood up the rapid shelter last year, and we added a layer of security down there. Again, this is as a force multiplier for us. We basically have a geographic area between the rapid shelter and our metro region where our emergency operations center is, and near City Hall, that we're going to try to use this private security to do some things that are tying up our officers, and such as what we refer to as property checks. In this area, it's frequented by our homeless population, and just because of the service providers that are in that area. So every morning and every night, our officers have dozens and dozens of addresses that they check for vagrancy and loitering and people doing unsavory things that are unsheltered. So we hope that bringing this concept, and it's a pilot concept, to help facilitate moving some folks around and helping getting them to the various shelters creates an added omnipresence for us, and is an extension of what we're already doing down there. We're really going to leverage technology to have virtual connection with them all the time. We're providing them with a lot of resources and analytics that allow us to connect. And really the goal is presence and assisting us getting people to the resources they need.
Let me touch on something before we do that question. And he mentioned the word technology. And I know technology is big for people in this room. It's also big with us. Shot spotter, the cameras that we've got, the ballistics we can do, DNA and stuff. We use all of that. That's things when I got in this profession, never thought I'd ever see. It was unheard of. But now we have so much technology out there that are tools that help us do our job. We're solving crimes that never been solved before because of technology. If somebody fires a gunshot here, our officers and deputies immediately get it over their phone. They don't have to go through a dispatch. They can respond while that person is still standing there. Somebody rides down the street in a stolen car, the cameras that we have, they're going to see that car, see that tag, instantaneously let the deputies and officers know there's a stolen car on Bull Street. We're able to quickly apprehend it. So we use technology a lot in our job, and it really works. I'm sorry.
No, that's fine. And what you just spoke about leads into my question. First, let me thank both of you and how you lead your agencies and interface with the community. There are many in the community that want you to know that we support you and looking for ways to partner with you. But my question really goes to what impacts most of us every day, which is cyber security, and what you guys are doing, or what can you do in terms of all the phishing expeditions that we get, all the different calls, and how people are trying to steal our identity and information to commit fraud and check out loans in our names or check out properties. Just wondering if you're active in that area.
So I think I can speak for both of us. We are very active on the investigative side. Unfortunately, that's always after the fact. I think we're very good about anytime we hear of any trends or scams that we are able to do public service announcements and warnings. You're very right. I mean, we're under attack, and that is something that I couldn't even begin to explain, or I'm glad I don't have to investigate. We've got really talented people that do those investigations, and we have very good partnerships with our federal partners. Secret Service is very active in fraud investigations, but what should be equally important to you is to know what the government, the city and county government does because you read all the time where a municipality or a government's been taken essentially hostage by their systems being hacked. And we have an incredible IT department with the city. They have hardened us, and they do these probes now internally. And I'll be the first to admit, they do these phishing prevention. They'll send an email, and if you click on it, it busts you. And I've been through remedial training. I just have to. It's really aggravating. They sent it like it was coming from Miss Wilson. That is not fair, because I opened on it, clicked it. But those are the extremes we go to now to make sure that we're protecting ourselves. And my message to our citizens and our businesses is you have to harden. Unfortunately, just be constantly aware of that and harden your business or your personal financials. But it's real. It really affects our elderly population. They're vulnerable. My mother-in-law is 94 years old, and she gets a lot of what I call junk mail, and it scares me to death because she's very, she loves being on social media and keeping in touch with her friends, and she's loves reading, and I'm always having to look over her shoulder or read something that she's read. But we all are vulnerable sometimes. We just have to be hyper vigilant.
There's more money stolen with a computer than it is with a gun or a knife. I mean, that's the way it is. So we have a full-time financial crimes unit that work these cases, but education plays a big part of it. We need to educate people on how to resist opening up emails you shouldn't be opening up. And that's why I don't even have a computer in my office. So I don't want to get done with all that stuff. But education, big. We've got to talk about it more. People have to be aware of what's going on out there. That you have people every single day. That's what their job is trying to steal your identity. Also, making these scam calls to you and telling you that you didn't show up for court. Judges held you in contempt of court, and deputy so-and-so here, and they use the name of one of our officers that's going to go pick you up. And they can set the caller ID to where it shows it's come from the sheriff's department when it's not. And people get scared because they think a deputy's going to come lock you up. If I'm going to lock you up, I'm not going to call and tell you we're coming. Okay. So, so that should be a big clue. That should be a clue. Okay. Y'all can all be detectives. That's a clue that we're not going to do that. And but we have to let people know, particularly our senior citizens. So your parents and your grandparents, make sure they understand that. These people can't come through the phone line and choke you out. They just hang up on But I think education is going to be the biggest tool that we have, better than enforcement. We just got to educate people what's going on with it.
Well, I know we could hear from these guys all day, but want to be mindful of y'all's time. But if there's one kind of departing assignment that you can give to the business community, to the community at large, how we can better partner with you guys and shoulder the responsibility that you guys are dealing with every day, can you give that to us?
A few things I would say. One is thank you for all your support. It's very heartwarming when I come to events such as this and folks come up to you and just thank you. And we get that a lot. But I would also say we need that vocal support louder. There is a very vocal minority that is very loud and challenging just public safety, government in general, and I think we certainly sense the support we have in this community, but it's good to have those loud drum majors. And the other thing I would reiterate is what I said earlier. It's little civic things I call the civic responsibility. I mean, we really could affect some genuine change that would be so impactful with our community if we just lock our cars, secure our weapons, be responsible with our alarms. Little things like that are, I think, huge. And be that nosy neighbor. Don't be bashful about reporting something that's suspicious. Just having some understanding and empathy of where we're coming from, and know that our number one priority is to protect this community and serve this community with responsibility, dignity, empathy, professionalism, and that's the way we're going to lead. And that's what you should expect from our agencies.
Be involved, care. Everybody in this room is successful. You didn't get there on your own. Somebody helped you out. You take that opportunity now to reach down that ladder and pull somebody else up that ladder and help them out, particularly a young person. You do that, you'll have a big impact on crime and just how good Columbia can be if you'll all do that. Just look at the collective group of people we've got here, the impact that you have through your personal life and also your professional life. Use that for good, not just to make money. Use it for good. Help somebody out.
Well, let's thank these guys. Thank y'all both for all that you do. Next up, we've got Jay Haynes from Blue Choice. He's going to give our partner perk speech for this morning.
Well, the representatives from Blue Choice could not be here, but my name is Jay Haynes. I'm with Tuberville Insurance Agency. We're a local agency here in Columbia. We're the preferred agency for Blue Choice Chamber Health Program. It's a new program that just started fairly recently with the chamber. So, if anyone has a current plan they'd like to, compare to the Blue Choice plan, we'd love to be a part of that to show you what can savings you may be able to have. And that's about it. I'm not going to take up a bunch of time. I do want to thank both the sheriff and the chief for their service. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jay. We appreciate you being here this morning. For more information about Blue Choice, if you have any questions, feel free to check out our website under our valued partner programs for more information on the programs that they offer and our other valued programs as well. We'd like to take a moment to introduce you. We have some new folks in the room. If we have a few new chamber partners here, if you are here and you could just stand up when I call your business so we can welcome you. Unum Center. There they are. And Allegiance Staffing. I think I saw, yep, there we go. If we can just give them a warm chamber welcome. If you see them on the way out, please stop them, welcome them, and find out a little more about what they do. Our Diplomat program is a program that provides outreach with our partner businesses throughout the year. Diplomats are our ambassadors that act as an extension of our chamber staff. And our diplomats are incentivized by gaining points for events and touch points that they make throughout the year. This invaluable tool for the chamber also helps diplomats grow their own businesses. As they reach out, they're talking about chamber and they're talking about what they do as well. So we like to celebrate our diplomats and the work that they do. So our diplomat of the quarter is awarded to the diplomat who has accrued the most points during that quarter. So our diplomat of the quarter for June, July, and August is Terry Judy. I'd like to welcome her up here real fast. We really appreciate everything you do. If you have not met Terry, then you have probably not been to a chamber event. She's at almost everything that we do. So this is a recognition for you. You can head on over, we'll get your picture. We also want to celebrate our Partner of the Month, which is chosen internally to spotlight chamber partners who have shown great efforts in assisting the chamber's mission of promoting an environment where businesses can flourish. This month, we are honored and excited to recognize Bank of America. As a long-standing partner with the chamber, Bank of America has consistently demonstrated their role as a champion for businesses in the Midlands region. And their partnership has enabled us to continue the work that we do here in the community. I'd like to welcome Lindsay with Bank of America to come up and say a few words.
Good morning. Thank you, Ashley. I'm so glad to be here with all of you. On behalf of the Bank of America team here in Columbia, I share our thanks to the Chamber, Carl Blackstone, its board and members for your longstanding support of the financial services and banking community here in the Midlands. Bank of America's longstanding partnership with the Chamber spans decades and is ever evolving. As such, we're proud to partner with the Chamber to meet the needs of our business community to include programs like the Minority Business Accelerator. From small business banking to global commercial banking to private banking, we are here to partner and support our local business community here in the Midlands. Again, thank you to the Chamber for its leadership in the business community, advocating for local business leaders and their teams, for its support of our law enforcement community and the military community, Fort Jackson, and for the work it does to make the Midlands a thriving place we all want to live in, work in, and play in. We're so proud to be Partner of the Month and proud to be a part of this outstanding organization. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And I'm so glad you mentioned our Minority Business Accelerator. If you have not heard or are not familiar with this program, please go check out our website or reach out to Naomi Walton. Applications for that upcoming class, which starts in January 2024, are open right now. So we would love to talk with you about that and have you apply. Now we do have a few events coming up. If you haven't heard, we are celebrating our 120th Diamond Gala on October 5th here at Segra Park. So we are excited to come back here and celebrate our Diamond Gala on the Diamond. And we would love to have all of you there as well. If you have any questions, please check out our website or reach out to me. I would love to help you with that and get you plugged in and get you the information for that event. We are also hosting our annual sporting clay tournament on November 16th. If you don't know how to shoot, no problem. We are hosting clinics as well. So we would love to teach you how to safely handle a shotgun. Safety is important. We have pros that will teach you, and we would love for you to come out and have a great day out on the course. And then hopefully we'll see our own Chief Holbrook and Sheriff Lott out there as well for our Sheriff Shootout. We have a friendly competition that we like to do to kick off our event. So we would love to see all of you there as well. Please let me know if you have any questions. And backed by popular demand, Coffee with Carl. For those of you that have not been a part of that, it is an insider event that we do. It is virtual. The second Friday of the month, you get to drink some coffee and chat with Carl, our president and CEO, and hear what's going on in the community, going on with the chamber, and give updates on what you're doing as well. So we hope to see you on the second Friday of the month. Thank you again so much to NUSC and to Blue Cross Blue Shield of South Carolina for sponsoring this breakfast. Thank you again for giving us your time and for sharing with us. We truly appreciate you. Thank you, David, and to Blue Choice as well. Our next breakfast is October 11th. We will see you here. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I'll see you at lunch today.
I gotta be in court, so I miss out on today.
Tell Dr. Jones to take it easy on you.
I know.